Regardless of how much effort we put into crafting a perfect plan, it'll never be perfect. That's because no one knows exactly what the future holds. The point of a plan is to provide us with the framework that shows us how to get to where we want to be. But every plan will contain some assumptions, things we don't know for sure, but feel comfortable with. If we think back to our road trip scenario, we can have a pretty good guess of how long it'll take by the distance we expect to cover and the stops we want to make along the way. But we can't account for every construction delay, restroom stop, or late start. This is both a good and a bad thing. There will be things that slow us down and get in our way. But there's also going to be surprises and hidden gems we find. And when we think back, it's going to be the things that we didn't expect that make the best stories. In The Psychology of Money, author Morgan Housel wrote, "Planning is important, but the most important part of every plan is to plan on the plan, not going according to plan." A mouthful, but it's so true. It can be impossible to plan accordingly in the short term. That's just the way that life goes. You think you have it all figured out, and then you're thrown a curveball. When we think of trying to plan for decades and decades, we can very easily imagine how off our reality will be from the plans we make, both in the direction of inconvenience and in pleasant surprises. When we make a plan, regardless of what it's for, we are trying to use the best and most relevant information we have at the time to make a best decision. Over time, as we get new and more relevant information, it makes sense for our plans to change. Instead of approaching them as set in stone and an absolute, we need to approach it with fluidity, expecting that they will change, and being open to change. That way, we give ourselves the best chance that our plans will always reflect what matters most to us and isn't just an inaccurate projection from a past self. Life is complicated, and it's sort of silly to think that a plan for the rest of our life is going to be simple and straightforward. It might turn out that the effort or product on our part looks simple, like contributing a set amount of money for a very long time, but the dreams, desires, and goals that money represents will change over our lives. The important part is knowing how to handle that change. As we talked about in Chapter 2, establishing expectations, markets move a lot. They always have, and they always will. There will be a lot of points in time when things don't feel like they're going according to plan. These will likely be years when markets are down or we've faced some sort of financial challenges. But just because we know that, it doesn't automatically make market declines easy or enjoyable. The fact is that we're all human, and as much as we want to be logical, our emotions often take control, which makes knowing what you should do and being able to do what you should do two very different things. When we're looking back at market crashes, we have to understand that hindsight is always 20/20. Knowing what we should have done in the past is a lot easier than figuring out what to do at the time, which is the case for most things in life. But acknowledging this and remembering this during those uncertain times is half the battle. When we look back at what the world has gone through in the past 100 years, it's tough to imagine things being worse. We've seen global wars, pandemics, natural disasters, dozens of recessions, seemingly crisis after crisis, and yet, over that same period of time, stock markets have increased exponentially. Quality of life has improved an incredible amount. Life expectancy increased. Technology and innovation has developed to a point where it's impossible to imagine what's coming next. When we look at some of the major drops that have defined the last 100 years, it's clear that the best thing we could do is stay invested. When the market drops, selling and waiting for a better time to invest takes us out of a position for all the gains still to come. Each time, a drop has been a catalyst for the next big wave of growth. It seems as though there's always reason to be pessimistic about something, and likely, it'll be the same thing moving forward. If we focus on the negative, it can consume us, in spite of all the positives around us. When markets are down and things feel uncertain, from a long-term investor's perspective, the worst thing we can do is anything different from our plan. Average annual returns already include all the reasons to be fearful. They collect all the bad and down years. And yet those returns produce phenomenal results. We know that markets have experienced accelerated growth coming out of down years, and that's so important to help our investments recover and then go on to new all-time highs. If you're trying to time or outsmart the market by buying and selling at different times depending on what you think will happen, you're going to arrive at the exact fate you're trying to avoid. Chances are you'll wait until the market is high, buy, and be in a prime position for the next downtrend, likely losing money instead of growing it. There will be times when you feel like your plan isn't going according to plan, but a good plan accounts for all of the things that we don't like. They include the down years, and they include the big swings. Only by staying committed to our plans and being long-term investors do we get rewarded by the positive years that heavily outweigh the negative years. We also need to follow this exact same approach when things feel surprisingly good. Unfortunately, markets and investing become very popular at the exact wrong time. Only once a company's share price is ridiculously high do you hear about it in the news and from family and friends. It's like waiting for something to go from being on sale to being incredibly overpriced and then deciding to buy. We think we're boarding a trip to the moon when we're really heading back towards reality. Gambling does not lead to the wealth we're looking to build. One of the biggest benefits of having a plan is that it has the power to eliminate anxiety, stress, and worry from your finances. A good plan is a blueprint showing you exactly what you need to do in order to reach your goals. And it shouldn't include things like chasing performance, taking on unnecessary risk, and having to be incredibly lucky. Once you're in a position of knowing exactly what you need to do, and knowing that if you do those things, you'll get the results you want, everything else becomes background noise. You can completely block out FOMO and focus on what actually matters, living your life best aligned with your ideal way.